Jazz. I still remember the exact sound, not his voice, not the rain outside, not even the message that appeared on his phone. It was the sound of my own heart breaking, without making a single noise. Jazz. People always say you know when your world is about to change. They're wrong. Most of the time, it changes on an ordinary Tuesday. A day that begins with coffee, small smiles and promises. Jazz. And ends with a truth so painful that nothing ever feels the same again. My name is Emma. For 12 years, I believed I was living the life every woman dreamed about. Jazz. A husband who kissed me goodbye every morning. A beautiful home we built together. Friends who called us relationship goals. Family members who always smiled and said, "You two are perfect together." Jazz. If only they knew. If only I knew. Looking back now, I realized the lies were always there. I just called them love. That morning started like every other morning. Jazz. I woke up before sunrise because Daniel loved fresh coffee before work. It was a little habit I had never missed. Even after 12 years, I quietly walked into the kitchen, trying not to wake him. Jazz. The coffee machine hummed softly while the first rays of sunlight slipped through the windows. For a moment, everything felt peaceful. I remember smiling to myself. "I'm lucky," I whispered. Jazz. Funny how quickly life can punish the words you're most certain about. Daniel walked downstairs a few minutes later. He looked tired. His tie wasn't straight. His shirt was slightly wrinkled. Normally, he cared about every tiny detail. But lately, he seemed distracted. "You okay?" I asked. He forced a smile. "Just work." Work, that had become his answer to everything. Why was he coming home late? Jazz. Work. Why was he always checking his phone? Work. Why did he cancel our anniversary dinner? Work. I believed him, because that's what wives do when they trust the man they love. He kissed my forehead. Jazz. "Don't wait up tonight," he said. "Big meeting." I smiled. "I'll leave dinner in the oven." He nodded, but he never looked into my eyes. Not once. A few seconds later, I heard the front door close. Jazz. Then silence. I stood there holding 2 coffee cups. One was still full. Somehow, that lonely cup felt like a warning. The rest of my morning was ordinary. Laundry, cleaning, answering emails. Jazz. Watering the flowers Daniel had once surprised me with. Those flowers were dying now. I kept watering them anyway. Maybe because I believed some things could still be saved if you loved them enough. Jazz. I was wrong. Around noon, Daniel called. "I forgot an important file," he said quickly. "It's on my desk. Can you bring it?" Of course. His office wasn't far. Jazz. I packed the folder into my bag and drove there. Traffic was light. Music played softly on the radio. I even caught myself thinking about planning a weekend trip together. Maybe he was just stressed. Jazz. Maybe we simply needed more time. Love always deserves another chance. That's what I believed, at least. Until I reached his office, the receptionist looked confused when I asked for him. "Daniel?" She frowned. "He left almost an hour ago." I blinked. "That's impossible. He called me 20 minutes ago." She checked her computer again. "I'm sorry, ma'am. He signed out at 11. 11. Jazz. I looked at my watch. It was almost 1 o'clock. 2 hours. Where had he gone? I immediately pushed the thought away. There had to be an explanation. There always was. Jazz. I thanked her politely and returned to my car. Before starting the engine, I called Daniel straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. A strange feeling settled in my stomach. Not fear, not yet. Jazz. Something quieter, something colder. For the first time in 12 years. Trust had cracked just a little. I decided to drive home. Halfway there, my phone rang. "Daniel. I'm sorry," he said before I could speak. "My meeting changed locations. I forgot to tell you." His voice sounded rushed, almost rehearsed. "I went to your office," I replied. "They said you left." Jazz. There was a pause, a tiny one, barely noticeable. Then he laughed. Oh, I had another client meeting. I forgot they wouldn't know. Another explanation, another reason, another lie. All the jazz. I didn't know it was a lie. Not yet. I'll see you tonight, he said. Love you. Normally I always answered, love you too. This time, for reasons I couldn't explain, the words wouldn't come. Jazz. That evening the rain started. Heavy rain. The kind that makes the whole world look blurry. Daniel still hadn't come home. 8 o'clock, 9, 10. His dinner was cold. My heart felt even colder, finally. At nearly 11, headlights appeared in the driveway. He walked inside smiling, holding his phone tightly. Long day, he sighed. I smiled anyway. You must be exhausted. He hugged me. Jazz. His jacket smelled different, not like his usual cologne. There was another perfume, soft, sweet, feminine. I stepped back. Someone at work wearing new perfume. I joked for a split second. Jazz. His smile disappeared. Then it returned. Probably. He walked upstairs before I could ask anything else. I stood alone in the hallway, listening, thinking. Jazz. Wondering why a simple answer suddenly felt so heavy. Later that night, Daniel fell asleep almost immediately. His phone rested on the bedside table. It buzzed once, then again. Jazz. Normally I never touched his phone. Never, because trust doesn't ask for passwords. But something inside me, something I had never felt before, refused to stay silent. I picked it up. Yours. The screen was locked. Before I could put it back, another message appeared. Only one sentence. Just a few words, enough to destroy an entire marriage. I already miss you. Today was perfect. Jazz. My hands froze. The room suddenly felt too small, too quiet, too dark. I looked at Daniel sleeping peacefully beside me. The man I had loved for 12 years, the man I had defended. Jazz. The man I trusted more than anyone else, who had sent that message. Why did it sound so personal? And why did I already feel like I knew the answer? I wanted to wake him. I wanted to scream. Jazz. I wanted every question answered immediately. But something deep inside whispered, not yet. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't arrive all at once. It comes one secret at a time. Jazz. And I had no idea that this message was only the beginning of a double life, far bigger than I could ever imagine. I didn't sleep that night. Daniel lay beside me, breathing peacefully, as if nothing had changed, as if the message on his phone meant nothing. But every time I closed my eyes, those words came back. I already miss you. Today was perfect. Who was she? Jazz. How long had this been going on? And why did it feel like my heart already knew the answers before my mind was ready to accept them? The sun finally rose, but it brought no comfort. Jazz. I got out of bed quietly and walked to the kitchen. For the first time in years, I didn't make coffee for Daniel. I simply stood by the window, watching the rain drip from the roof. Jazz. The silence in the house felt different now. It wasn't peaceful anymore. It felt like the silence before a storm. A few minutes later, Daniel came downstairs. He smiled the same smile he always did. Morning. I forced myself to smile back. Morning. You okay? I'm just tired. He nodded without asking another question. Maybe he didn't notice the sadness in my eyes, or maybe, as he noticed, and simply didn't care. As he picked up his car keys, he kissed my forehead. I'll be late again tonight. Another late meeting, another excuse, another lie. The front door closed behind him. This time I didn't cry. Instead, I whispered something to myself. If you're hiding something, I'll find it. For the next few days I said nothing. I cooked dinner, I smiled. Jazz. I laughed when he made jokes. I acted exactly like the wife he expected me to be. Inside, I was slowly becoming someone else, someone who watched, someone who listened. Jazz. Someone who noticed every detail. Daniel had changed in ways I had ignored before. He started wearing a different cologne. He spent longer choosing his clothes. He never left his phone alone. Jazz. Even when he showered, it stayed on the bathroom counter. Every notification made him nervous. Every phone call ended the moment I entered the room. It wasn't one big lie. It was 1,000 tiny lies. Jazz. And together, they painted a picture I didn't want to see. One Friday afternoon, I was cleaning our bedroom. Daniel had rushed to work after receiving an urgent call. As I changed the bedsheets, I noticed something under his side of the bed, a small black gift bag. I frowned. I pulled it out carefully. Inside was a jewelry box. My heart skipped. Our anniversary had passed 2 weeks earlier. Daniel hadn't bought me anything. He had apologized and blamed work. So why was there a jewelry box? With shaking hands, I opened it. Inside was a beautiful gold bracelet. It was elegant silk. Exactly the kind of jewelry I loved. For one hopeful second, I smiled. Maybe he'd planned a surprise. Maybe I had been wrong. Maybe all of this was in my imagination. Then I saw the small white card tucked underneath. To the woman who changed my life. Forever yours, D. The handwriting was Daniel's, but the bracelet wasn't for me, because my name wasn't on the card. Instead, it read, to Olivia. I stared at the name until the letters blurred. Olivia. Who was Olivia? A client? A colleague? A friend? Or the woman behind those messages? I carefully placed everything back exactly as I had found it. When Daniel came home that evening, I acted normal. I smiled, asked about his day, served dinner. He smiled back, completely unaware. Watching him laugh across the dinner table hurt more than I could describe. Not because he was laughing, because he was pretending. And he was very good at it. That weekend, my younger sister, Sophie, came to visit. She looked at me for a long moment before speaking. Emma, are you okay? I hesitated. What makes you ask? You don't smile with your eyes anymore. Her words almost broke me. I wanted to tell her everything. Instead, I shook my head. I'm just tired. She didn't believe me, I could tell. Before leaving, she hugged me tightly. If something's wrong, please don't carry it alone. After she drove away, I sat on the porch for almost an hour. I realized something painful. Everyone else had noticed I was changing, except Daniel. 3 days later, the answer came looking for me. It happened by accident. I was shopping at a supermarket across town. As I waited in line, I heard a familiar laugh, Daniel's laugh. My heart stopped slowly. I turned around. There he was, standing near the flower section, smiling. Not at me, at another woman. She was beautiful. Around my age, long dark hair, a bright summer dress. She laughed as Daniel tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was gentle, comfortable, practiced. Not something two strangers would do. Then, she reached for his hand and he didn't pull away. He held it like he had held mine for 12 years. I couldn't breathe. Every sound around me disappeared. People walked past. Shopping carts rolled by. Children laughed somewhere nearby. But all I could see was my husband holding another woman's hand. She leaned against him. He smiled. The same smile he used to give me. They looked happy, like two people deeply in love. I wanted to walk over. I wanted to ask, who is she? Instead, I stepped behind a display shelf before they could see me. My legs felt weak. I watched them from a distance. Daniel bought her flowers, not expensive ones, just simple white lilies. They had been my favorite flowers once. He remembered. He simply wasn't buying them for me anymore. The woman kissed him lightly on the cheek. Then they walked away together. I stood frozen until they disappeared through the automatic doors. It felt as if someone had erased 12 years of my life in a single afternoon. When I got home, I finally allowed myself to cry. Not loud, not dramatically, just quiet tears. The kind that come when your heart is too tired to fight anymore. I looked around the house we had built together, every photograph on the wall. Every holiday memory, every anniversary gift. How many of those moments had been real? And how many had been lies? That evening, Daniel came home carrying takeaway food. "Yaz, I thought we'd have dinner together." I smiled politely. "That's sweet." He had no idea. He believed his secret was safe. As we ate, he talked about work, a meeting, a difficult client, traffic. "Yaz." Every sentence was another layer covering the truth. I listened quietly. Then I asked one simple question. "Daniel, who's Olivia?" His fork stopped halfway to his mouth, only for a second. "Yaz." Then he recovered. "Olivia, yes, I met someone with that name today." He laughed. "Oh, she's one of our new clients." His answer came too quickly, too smoothly. Another lie. I nodded. "I see." "Yaz." He smiled with relief. He thought I believed him. I let him think that, because I was beginning to understand something important. The truth wasn't going to reveal itself through arguments, as it would reveal itself through patience. And I had decided. I was done being the woman who ignored the signs. From now on, I would become the woman who uncovered every single secret. That night, while Daniel slept peacefully beside me once again, I opened a small notebook. On the first page, I wrote just 4 words. "Everything changes from today." Below them, I made a list. Find out who Olivia is. Follow the money. Never let Daniel know I know. Wait for the right moment. I closed the notebook. For the first time since discovering the message, I wasn't just heartbroken. I had a purpose, and somewhere out there, Daniel was living his double life, believing his biggest mistake had never been discovered. He couldn't have been more wrong. The next morning, I looked at Daniel the same way I had for 12 years. I smiled, I poured his coffee. I wished him a good day. The only difference was, I no longer believed a single word he said. He still acted like the perfect husband. He thanked me for breakfast. He kissed my forehead before leaving. He even reminded me not to forget my doctor's appointment the following week. Anyone watching us would have thought we were a happy couple. They would never have guessed that one of us was living a lie, and the other had finally started seeing it. As soon as Daniel drove away, I picked up my notebook. At the top of the page, I wrote one question: who is Olivia? Everything else depended on the answer. I wasn't proud of what I was about to do. For years, I had believed that trust was stronger than suspicion. But trust had already been broken. Now I needed the truth. I opened our shared computer in the study. Daniel rarely used it anymore. He preferred his laptop. Still, I hoped he had forgotten something. Old emails, receipts, photos, anything. At first, I found nothing unusual. Bills, holiday pictures, insurance papers. Then I noticed a folder with a strange name. Project Blue. Daniel wasn't working on any project called Blue. Curious, I opened it. At least, that's how it looked. Something didn't feel right. The folder had been updated only 2 days earlier. Why would someone update an empty folder? I searched online and discovered that hidden files sometimes didn't appear in normal view. After changing one setting, several documents appeared. My heart started racing. There were scanned receipts, hotel bookings, restaurant reservations, weekend apartment rentals. Every booking listed one guest: Daniel Carter. Most of them had been made during the past 8 months. The dates matched almost perfectly with the nights he claimed he had been working late. I stared at the screen in disbelief. 8 months. 8 months of lies. 8 months of carefully planned excuses. 8 months while I sat alone at home, believing my husband was building a better future for us. Instead, he had been building another life. One receipt caught my attention. A boutique hotel near the coast. 2 nights, a luxury suite. The booking date made my stomach twist. It was our wedding anniversary. I remembered sitting alone in our dining room that evening. Jazz. Daniel had called and apologized. "I'm so sorry, Emma. The meeting is running late. I had eaten dinner by myself. I even saved him a slice of cake." Meanwhile, Jazz. He had been spending our anniversary with someone else. I closed my eyes. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The pain wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about every memory that had been rewritten. Jazz. I wanted to confront him. Every part of me wanted to. But another voice reminded me, if I confronted him now, he would deny everything. He would delete evidence. He would become more careful. No. I needed patience. Patience had become my strongest weapon. Later that afternoon, I visited my sister Sophie. She opened the door and immediately noticed my expression. "What happened, Jazz?" I didn't answer. Instead, I handed her a folder containing copies of the hotel receipts. She looked at them quietly, then she looked at me. "Oh, Emma." The sympathy in her voice almost made me cry. "I saw them together," I whispered. She reached for my hand, and I didn't say anything. She looked surprised. "You just walked away?" I nodded. "I need the whole truth." Jazz. Sophie was silent for a long time. Finally, she smiled sadly. "You've changed." "I know," she said softly. "You've become stronger." Those words stayed with me long after I left her house. Jazz. Over the next week, I noticed something else. Daniel had started protecting his phone even more. He changed his password. He carried a portable charger everywhere. Jazz. He never left the screen facing upward. Every little action told me the same thing. He was hiding something. The question wasn't whether he was lying. The question was, Jazz. How much hadn't I discovered yet? One Thursday evening, Daniel came home unusually cheerful. "I've got great news." I looked up from the sofa. "What is it, Jazz?" "Our company wants me to travel next weekend." I forced a smile. "Really? It's an important conference, only 2 days. I'll be back Sunday." "Conference, another convenient excuse." I nodded. "Jazz, I'm proud of you." His smile widened. He believed me. That hurt more than I expected. Not because he was lying, because he believed I was still the same trusting woman. He had no idea, Jazz, that every smile I gave him now was hiding my own secret. The following morning, while Daniel showered upstairs, his smartwatch began vibrating on the kitchen counter. He rarely took it off. Jazz. He must have forgotten it. The screen lit up. A message appeared. "Olivia. Can't wait for our weekend. I miss you already." Only a few words, but this time, there was no room for doubt. Jazz. I quickly took a photo of the message with my own phone. Then I placed the watch exactly where it had been. Seconds later, Daniel came downstairs. He picked it up without noticing anything. Jazz. My heart pounded. One careless mistake, that was all it had taken. Saturday arrived. Daniel packed a small suitcase. "Conference starts early. I'd better leave now." I hugged him. "Drive safely." "I will." He kissed my forehead. "I love you." I looked into his eyes. "I know." Those were the last words I said before he drove away. 5 minutes later, I picked up my car keys. Jazz. Keeping a safe distance, I followed him. He never looked in his mirrors, never suspected he was being watched. Instead of driving towards the city conference center, Jazz, he took the motorway heading south, towards the coast, the same coast where the hotel receipts had been booked. Every mile felt like another answer. After nearly 2 hours, Jazz, Daniel turned into a quiet seaside town. He parked outside a charming white cottage overlooking the water. My hands tightened around the steering wheel. A few minutes later, another car arrived. Jazz. A woman stepped out. Long dark hair, summer dress. Olivia. Daniel smiled the moment he saw her. He walked over and embraced her as though they hadn't seen each other in months. She laughed. Jazz wrapped her arms around him. Then, she kissed him, not a quick greeting. A long, comfortable kiss shared by two people who believed no one was watching. My eyes filled with tears, Gaz. Not because I still doubted him, but because the last tiny piece of hope inside me had finally disappeared. I expected them to go inside. Instead, something unexpected happened, Gaz. A little girl ran out of the cottage. She couldn't have been older than 6. She laughed happily. "Daddy!" Daniel knelt down, opened his arms. The little girl ran straight into them. "Gaz!" He lifted her high into the air. She wrapped her tiny arms around his neck. "Daddy, you came back!" I stopped breathing. "Daddy?" My vision blurred. Daniel wasn't just hiding another relationship, Gaz. He had become part of another family. Olivia stood beside them smiling. The 3 of them looked complete, like a family enjoying a weekend together. Meanwhile, Gaz, I had spent months eating dinner alone, waiting for a husband who was never working late. The truth was worse than anything I had imagined. And deep inside, a new question began to grow. Gaz, who really was Daniel Carter? Because the man standing outside that cottage didn't feel like the man I had married, and I had a feeling his biggest secret still hadn't been revealed. Gaz. Emma didn't confront Daniel that day. She quietly drove home, carrying a truth that had shattered everything she believed. For 2 weeks, she gathered every piece of evidence: hotel bookings, bank statements, photos, messages, and copies of hidden payments. She spoke with a lawyer, protected her finances, and made sure every step was legal and calm. Daniel never noticed, Gaz. He thought his double life was still a secret. Then came the evening that changed everything. Daniel walked into the house with his usual smile. "Emma, I'm home." She smiled back. "So am I, Gaz." The dining table looked beautiful, just like it had on their anniversary. But instead of candles and gifts, neat folders were placed in front of his chair. "What's all this?" he asked. "Gaz," Emma calmly replied, "the truth." As Daniel opened the first folder, the color disappeared from his face. Hotel receipts, Photos bank transfers, mosques, Gaz. Every lie he had told over the past year was sitting on the table. He looked up, speechless. "I can explain." Emma shook her head. "No, Daniel, you've had a year to explain. Tonight, you only get to listen." For the first time, Daniel realized he had lost control. Emma wasn't crying. She wasn't shouting. She was simply done. She handed him one final envelope. Inside were divorce papers. "I loved the man I thought you were," she said softly. "But I refuse to spend another day with the man you chose to become." Daniel begged for another chance. Gaz. He promised to change. He blamed stress, bad decisions, and fear. But excuses couldn't rebuild the trust he had broken. Emma quietly walked to the front door and opened it. "It's time to leave, Gaz." Daniel looked around the home they had built together. He realized that he wasn't losing a house. He was losing the only person who had truly loved him. Weeks later, the divorce was final. Gaz. Emma sold the house and moved to a small town near the sea. She started a new career helping women rebuild their lives after betrayal. Slowly, Gaz. The pain that once filled her heart was replaced by peace and confidence. One afternoon, while walking along the beach, she received a message from an unknown number. It was Daniel. "Gaz, I finally understand what I lost. I'm sorry." Emma read the message once, then she smiled gently, deleted it, and slipped her phone back into her pocket. Some apologies arrived too late. Gaz. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, Emma realized something important. Her greatest revenge had never been making Daniel suffer. Gaz. It had been refusing to let his betrayal define the rest of her life. She had lost a husband, but she had found herself. And sometimes, Gaz, the happiest ending isn't getting the person who hurt you to regret their choices. It's waking up one morning, smiling without pain, Gaz, and knowing that your future no longer depends on someone who never deserved your trust.